Hello, hello. All right, here we go again. Complete Residence Discography. I'm trying to fly through over 50 years of constant releases, like multiple releases a year, trying to go through everything. We're on episode 8, and we have reached 1990. Yeah, and here we are. I'm not going to even do a recap. Okay, so we're going to start this episode with another absolute favorite of mine, Freak Show. Came out December 1990, and this was the first album I ever got. A very cool looking teenage version of me saw a thing about the Residents on the MTV, and I went out to my local cassette shop, which I believe was Rushmore Records on Kinnickinnick. Rode my bike out there and bought it on cassette. I still have my original cassette. It's pretty wore out, but it still plays. I've been carrying this around for like 35 years. Lived in a lot of different places. This always came with me. Yeah. This album is awesome. It's all about the freak show, freaks, various freaks and their stories and some drama from the circus, that kind of thing. Again, we're in the very digital sound era. I went over how they're using all kind of super digital synths now. It's all very MIDI sequenced, and they're continuing that. We have some of the Residents' actual synthesizers sitting right there that were actually most likely used on this, because those 3 racks right there, the Residents brought into the studio in 1989, and this was released in 90, so they would have been using that stuff as well as a couple other things. This album is awesome, probably changed me a lot more. This has been reissued in many different forms. There's a like book style CD that had a DVD with it. There was a large long box like anniversary edition that was 2 CDs long. This is the recently released Cherry Red Deluxe 3-disc version that has a bunch of the early kind of demos and stuff on it. But yeah, this album is awesome. The videos for it are awesome, and we'll end up talking about this album again and the artwork. One of the CD issues, I think it was the second CD release, they changed this artwork, and it was just like a very plain album cover, and it looks really stupid, and I don't know why they got rid of this awesome artwork. Also, the audio on that release is kind of messed up. There's this little jingle between the first 2 songs that's missing, that only, nerds like me noticed, but still. So I didn't really give a lot of info in my first run through of that video because I was doing it in a hurry. So you're going to see weird edits like this. But yeah, I wanted to explain a little bit more about where I was when I got Freak Show, this tape, in life and in the world, because I did not come from, some hippy dippy art land like San Francisco. I lived in Milwaukee, and in 1990, Milwaukee was starting to go to shit. So yeah, I went to Kosciuszko Middle School, which was mostly Mexican and Puerto Rican kids. It was a bilingual school. English-speaking people were the minority, and this was right when Latin Kings, Vice Lords started blowing up in the area. And I hung out with, the few like metalhead dorks, that kind of thing. I'll throw up a picture. I believe those guys are Miguel, Ming, and Paul. Those are 3 out of 4 of my best friends at the time, the other one being Mike. But yeah, we listened to all different stuff, and just so not only was this a big thing that I got these weird metalhead dudes to listen to, the first Guar album, I also bought this cassette from Rushmore around the same time. And we're really into the first Deicide album, Mr. Bungle, Primus. At this time, there was like no such thing as genres, at least where I lived. It was all, well, death metal's death metal, but everything else was basically alternative. You know, anything that wasn't generic, anything that was interesting at all was just alternative. So that was Primus, Residents, Mr. Bungle. Primus would lead me to Tom Waits down the road. At the time, I did not know that was him on Tommy the Cat. But yeah, just wanted to shout that out. My old neighborhood, and you know, getting metalhead kids to listen to weird Residents circus songs about freaks on digital synthesizers. So it was pretty awesome. It was an awesome time. Also, we sat around playing Dungeons and Dragons and fooling around on a CB radio and avoiding getting jumped by gangs. April 1991. With Daydream Believer, I forgot to mention basically what it is. So this is all rare, like previously unreleased tracks from like 71 to 91. So this was the first time you heard really early pre-Santa Dog stuff. Like this is the first time the Boarding House recording, which was their first time playing live. Really awesome. It's been one of my favorite things ever since. King Kong, a track taken from I can't say it, the BS demo tape. I don't think YouTube would allow me to say it. I'm trying to think of a different way to say it. Birdie snacks. Those aren't the right words. But anyways, yeah. Also, little instrumental track from the Baby King, those 3 Hank Williams outtakes, and their cover of the Monkees, Daydream Believer. But yeah, this is a great collection. At this time, most of this stuff is on other releases, but this makes for a great album. And I can't stress this enough because it seems to be a lost thing in these days of releasing everything. But compiling tracks and putting them in a proper track order where it flows like an album is very important. I know how to do it. Other people know how to do it. Tom Timoney. Other people just take absolutely everything and throw it on a disc and are like, look, it's everything. It's on 4 CDs and it's in a track order that no one would ever listen to it in. So yeah, less is sometimes more. Compile it into listenable things. Don't just throw everything on a disc. Whatever. It's a UWeb CD. Again, UWeb was sort of like a fan club thing with very limited edition CDs you had to be a member of to get. And their top quality stuff as far as both audio and artwork and everything goes. Good CDs. I'm not normally a CD guy, but yeah, quality stuff here. It's never been on vinyl. So it has been reissued on CD, but this is the one you want.
Stay around very long. You gotta make the most of the moment you're here. And you're here to stay. And happiness is the place.
Kantate und Symphonon für das
All right. In 1990, when the Residents were coming up with music that would become Freak Show, they recorded this jam in 1990, and then just sort of shelved it once they started working on Freak Show. Then they apparently like started collaborating with some guy named Spoon Man. And they did like, he does this like spoken word poetry story thing. And I think it was a show once or twice. It's some sort of like opera or something. I never heard that version until a couple days ago because I bought this for for this video series. This wasn't released until 2020, November 2020. This came out on CD, but other instrumental versions have leaked out in a couple things. Yes, some of it became part of Bad Day on the Midway that we'll talk about in the next episode. And a 6-minute little instrumental excerpt was on this really great 1997 box set, Huddled Masses, a 4 CD box set. That's awesome. I've had it in a other episode already. We listened to some tracks on that. And there's also another book, lots of books about the Residents, called Uncle Willie's Highly Opinionated Guide to the Residents. Uncle Willie being the UWeb guy. It was a book that came with a sampler CD, and there are little snippets between the songs, and that was from the Anganok. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But yeah, the instrumental stuff is pretty cool. It sounds like very similar to Freak Show because that's what they're working on. But personally, I find this version with Spoon Man on it to be absolutely unlistenable. This did not need to be released. This, yeah, it's, I can't do it. It's really like, I think it's embarrassingly bad. The music is good. That whole Spoon Man thing, no. In June 1992, Freak Show becomes a awesome Dark Horse comic book. This is the hardcover edition where they have little comics about some of the characters in the album. And each guy has, I think it's different artists working on different parts. Really awesome little comic book here. And it came with a CD called Blow Off, which is kind of extra music from the Freak Show recordings. It's very good. Some of it, you could hear parts that became full songs and other stuff isn't. It's just abandoned ideas. But it's very good. I would recommend getting it with the comic book because the comic book is really awesome, but it is also a bonus track on the current 3 CD set of it as well. October 1992, they do Our Finest Flowers. This one took me a while to like. I always kind of liked it, but it didn't really grab me. It still has that very digital synth sound, very sequenced. It was to celebrate their 20-year anniversary. They have now been around for 20 years. And so this is the first time you kind of hear them rearranging, reworking old songs, which would become something that they did more and more in later years. But this is the first time they did like a full album like that. It's kind of like they take two old songs and morph them into one new thing. And it all sounds so different that even though they're all a little familiar, you'll pick up little, tunes and stuff. It definitely sounds like a brand new album. It is a great album. I do find the first side a little bit more boring than the second side. There's some stuff I really like on side 2. This was never on vinyl until more recent years. I will say with this one, it's not the greatest vinyl pressing. They kind of mashed a little bit too much music per side. It's not bad. It's not, there's much worse that I'll probably end up mentioning, but it also isn't great. I actually had a plan for this album as a double LP that would have paired it with similar things from the era. And so it wouldn't have been mashed all on one LP as well. Probably would have sounded better and whatever, but whatever. I'm not in charge. So instead they decided to just do this single LP with a bit too much audio mashed on it, but it is a good album. Also, this album notoriously kind of broke up the whole UWeb thing. Tom Timoney, Uncle Willie, whatever from UWeb kind of leaked info about this, and he wasn't supposed to. And the residents were kind of upset about that. And so they stopped. That's where UWeb stopped. But the last track on here is called Be Kind to You Web-Footed Friends, as in they're not holding it, no hard feelings kind of thing. But yeah, Our Finest Flowers, I kind of failed to mention that. So a lot of stuff that would become like regulars in their sets and stuff, they're kind of more from this, even though this is sort of 20-year anniversary, like kind of redoing old songs. But some songs like Picnic in the Jungle were never recorded by the residents except live. So this is a first. Kick a Picnic, it's like combined with Kick a Cat, I think. 44, which was one of the best parts in the Blackberry thing, which never had a studio album. Finally, there's a studio version of 44, and that would become a regular and I think a fan favorite, kind of one of my favorites for their later live shows.
stood between them, holding up the crimson gleaming circle with its keys. And I lifted up the cover softly like it was my
In January 93, Santa Dog 92 came out. As we have discussed, Santa Dogs come out when there's sort of a big change. I don't really know what the big change is here because there's already one in 88 that was Snake Fingers gone. They're getting more into the, digital synths. I guess, I don't know if I'm missing something, but they thought it was time for another Santa Dog. This one I didn't really care for back in the day for a long time, but it's really grown on me. And I really like this one because it's not just Fire, the song Fire again. They're like, do, 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 which is, it's great, but it gets a bit much sometimes if you listen to a bunch of Santa Dogs over and over. So I really like that this was not just a remake of that song. It's a really long piece. It's got to be over 10 minutes, if not longer. I can't remember exactly, but it's almost like maybe it's a prequel. It's this whole weird, super gloomy story that sounds nothing like the song Fire. I think eventually they worked that little tune in towards the end, but yeah, very cool. I think it was the last UWeb CD since, as we just said, UWeb kind of shut down after the Our Finest Flower thing. I do not have one of those CDs, but once again, that's where my Santa Dog double LP collection that I put together and released comes in handy because it's on here. So we'll listen to it on there. In August 93, they release this little 4-song EP called Prelude to the Teds. It wasn't released on their own label. It was released by the Hello Recording Club, which I believe was something put together by They Might Be Giants. And it was just a little cardboard sleeve, with just the classic eyeball. I think it's a sticker on the front and a CD inside. Super simple, cool little series of CDs. But yeah, this EP is great. It's really awesome. I think, especially back in the 90s, early 2000s, a lot of people didn't even know it existed because it was on some other label and just some obscure, weird little CD in a cardboard sleeve. But they're really good songs and kind of in the same style of very singer resident driven, very digital synthesizers, but they really work, I feel. Later on, we'll get into the time when these digital kind of dated sample based Rompler sounds end up not working as well. But here, 93, it's still sounding fucking great. And I love this EP. I do not have the original CD anymore. It has been reissued a couple times. The most current way to get it is on the Gingerbread Man 3 disc set from Cherry Red, which we'll talk about this album in the next episode. 1994, another oddball release comes out. I think was only sold or like released in Europe. Poor Kaw-liga's Pain. This compilation that just was all those different versions of Kaw-liga, which is probably like 10 versions. But it had one exclusive track on it, a song called Poor Kaw-liga's Pain. And it's believed it was recorded probably during the Our Finest Flowers recording sessions. It kind of has that vibe to it. But it's actually one of the best versions, I think. Pretty sure that is on the American Composer Series CD box set that also just came out. So we got that because I no longer have the Poor Kaw-liga's Pain CD comp because you don't need it. Yeah, but that stuff's on the American Composer Series. Really good version of Kaw-liga. Going to end this episode with them getting into CD-ROMs. In October 94, the Freak Show album becomes their first, I think it's their first CD-ROM game, all based on the album. It's really awesome. You walk around a circus and go into different tents, and it's, 1994 computer graphics of the residents' freaks and stuff, and some, eyeball residents in there. It's not super deep, but it is cool. You find like music videos and stuff like that. You could find, like a resident's discography room where you could like thumb through different stuff and it would play a snippet. And that's actually the first time I heard a clip of the original Santa Dog, because back then this stuff was like so obscure that you probably never heard like snippets of the stuff that you didn't have. And that's really cool. And probably my favorite part of this game was in 110, it was like you could read and hear the history of like a ton of like real freaks, real performers in the freak shows of the early days, early 1900s to probably mid 1900s, complete with photos, some, probably a bit too much for some people, but it was awesome. Being someone that's into weird old carnival stuff and freak stuff and stuff like that. Me and my girlfriend at the time just loved this. And there's a lot of info in there that I feel like you can't really regularly find very easily. Like there's photos of every single one. I can't even remember how many there were because it was several pages, and each page had probably 10 different ones to go through. There's a ton. And yeah, very cool. Very cool. Probably disturbing to some people. It wasn't to me. It was awesome. But yeah, this starts their whole dive into CD-ROMs. This was very exciting. I think they might be the first band to have used the CD-ROM technology. I think Peter Gabriel was an early one as well. Jim Ludke is the one who did a lot of this art, worked their stuff into computer animations and stuff. And they would work with him for the next few years. Now, the next episode's going to get weird because, as you've seen, these have all been very singer resident based albums. Almost everything has been very singer resident, Randy driven, just him in the front, right there, just and something changes, and it's really weird. I didn't notice this until arranging these episodes, but yeah, the next episode's a real weird one. There's a big shift, and yeah, we're gonna dive more into this kind of stuff and some other weird things. So check that out. But yeah, I love this era, and I don't understand people that will only listen to the classic era and only listen to 70s residents up until like Mark of the Mole. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And someone recently said they thought Freak Show didn't age well, and it's very dated because of the sounds. But I mean, they work perfectly for Freak Show because I mean, that's what it sounds like. It's these weird digital, circus songs and carnival song, carousel kind of music, stuff like that. And I think these digital sample-based Rompler sounds actually work very well for it. And they also worked very well in Our Finest Flowers, which is kind of a darker album. Kind of wish it had a really good vinyl remaster. I think it could have sounded really full and nice, but what are you going to do? I'm not the man in charge, unfortunately. And yeah. So there's that. So I think that the late 80s and all of this stuff is really awesome. We do see a big shift next episode. So that should be here shortly because I'm dishing these out as fast as I can.